Well, hello crews, my name's David Oakley. I'm the lead pastor of Bridge Community Church, but do not be deceived by the word lead, because just like you, we all do what Alice tells us to do. So here I am to share on your Encounters with Jesus series, particularly about this thing called forgiveness. Now, I'm not sure if you know what forgiveness is, but it's that release of somebody. Perhaps they've hurt you, caused you pain, but somehow you release them. You don't hold it against them. So to give an example, as you know, Alice has done her knee in. If I was to walk behind the camera now and kick her in the leg, and she didn't sue me, didn't tell my boss, didn't do anything like that, that would be a picture of forgiveness. So hopefully you're getting that idea. But we're going to talk about Jesus having an encounter with a guy called Zacchaeus. So I've got my big youth Bible here, so stick with me as I read this story from Luke 19. Jesus went on to Jericho and was passing through. There was a chief tax collector named Zacchaeus, who was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but he was a small man and could not see Jesus because of the crowd. So he ran ahead of the crowd and climbed a sycamore tree to see Jesus, who was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, "Hurry down, Zacchaeus, because I must stay at your house today." Zacchaeus hurried down and welcomed him with great joy. All the people who saw it, though, started grumbling. "This man's gone to be the guest in the home of a sinner." Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Listen, sir, I will give half my belongings to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone, I will pay back 4 times as much." Jesus said to them, "Salvation has come to this house today, for this man, a descendant of Abraham, the Son of Man, came to seek and save the lost." So that was our story. That's our Jesus encounter. And I've got some questions for you. First of all, who can be forgiven? As we just chatted about that guy, Zacchaeus, what comes to mind? I'm not sure if you know what he was, but his name means something like charming and good and nice. Yet in reality, he became something called a tax collector, which doesn't really mean that much to us today. But if I was to say to you, he'd be the equivalent of a leader of, say, county lines, or a mafia head. That's basically what he became. So this charming, good guy became this sort of mafia county lines leader, if you like, extorted money through using his henchmen in order to get himself rich at the expense of everybody else. And yet, this is the guy Jesus chooses to forgive. So straight away I'm encouraged. Because I'm thinking there's hope for me, because I've done a few wrong things in my life, but I've never quite hit Zacchaeus' level of doing wrong stuff. So straight away we can see that anyone can be forgiven. But secondly, what else have we got here? How can we be forgiven? If you notice during the story, Zacchaeus was really determined to see Jesus and to receive some kind of forgiveness. You see, he was a little fellow, wasn't he? He was just a little man. Yet he did everything he could to see Jesus. There was a big crowd there. And if you're a hated collaborator like he was, crowds were never a good place in case you got shanked in the back or something like that. But this man, he ran ahead and he climbed a tree. Neither of which was cool in Jewish culture. Because in the Middle Eastern culture, they wear these big robes, so running didn't look good. Certainly climbing a tree, because you could have a bit of indecent exposure if you've got a bit of a robe flapping around there. It's not good. And yet this guy was prepared to become so undignified, so determined, in order to meet and connect with Jesus. So again, we might think, I need cleaning up. I need sorting out. Or I need to extend forgiveness. I need help for somebody. It's important we take some intentional, decisive steps to make that happen. So we put those things into place. Anyone can be forgiven. But secondly, we need to start taking some positive steps in order to see it happen. What is the response of Jesus to all this? Well, we read in the story that Jesus welcomed Zacchaeus. He saw him at the tree. He called him by name. Then he said, "I want to come to your house. I want to hang out with you. I want to be with you." Isn't that amazing? This guy who was rejected by all his society is actually the person that Jesus is happy to see. He's happy to call by name, and he's happy to go out and hang out with him, even though it meant a change of schedule for Jesus. And Jesus even took on the wrath and the anger of the crowd around him. They're going, "What's he doing? You can't hang out with a guy like that. He's terrible." And Jesus took that wrath and anger upon himself so as to protect this man Zacchaeus in order to see forgiveness come to his family. And that verse right at the end we read, Jesus came to do what? Did he come to judge us? No. He came to seek and to save the lost. And Zacchaeus is a brilliant, brilliant example of that. And so it's left with us. What's our response? Well, Zacchaeus' response was amazing, wasn't it? This guy was a money grabber. This guy who extorted money from people. Now, he's suddenly become giveaway. He said, I'm going to give half my money to the poor, and if I've cheated anyone, 4 times as much. He was prepared to bankrupt himself in order to show the difference and transformation that had happened. Instead of taking money, he's now being open-handed and generous. Just as he'd been forgiven, he's offering that forgiveness to other people. And if you really want to experience that cleansing and that forgiveness from God, I think that's our right kind of response. I just want to finish off with a story to illustrate that. I was good friends with a head teacher right up in the north of England in the Lake District. And he was head over a school that was quite old, and in the school area was like a courtyard. It was like a quadrangle square courtyard. And one of the rules up there was you were never allowed to throw snowballs in the courtyard when it snowed. And as you can imagine, in the Lake District, it snowed a bit. Anyway, there was one particular day where the temptation to throw a snowball was too much for one young man. Picked up a snowball, made it, threw it at his mate. His mate saw it coming. He ducked, so it missed him. The snowball kept going, and it hit the head teacher's window. Not only did it hit the window, it broke the window. So this poor head teacher is sat there with glass and snow all over him. And he waited a few minutes, and there was a knock on his door. And he thought to himself, this head teacher thought to himself, if this kid comes in and says sorry, I'm going to kill him. But actually, what he saw as the door opened was this young man with a brush in one hand, a dustpan in the other, and a credit card in his mouth. Basically, he didn't come just to say sorry. He came to put right that which was wrong. He was prepared to be constructive instead of destructive. And I think that's a beautiful picture of forgiveness. Yes, Jesus will forgive us. But if we just hold on to it and don't offer that to other people like Zacchaeus did, like this young man did at my friend's school up in the north of England, then we're really going to miss that sense of peace. So can I encourage you? Get to Jesus, get forgiven, and then make sure you pass it on to somebody else. And they're going to experience such a peaceful life, such a profitable life, and just really benefit and help you fulfill your potential rather than being held prison by some of the stuff you've done in the past. If you want to know more about this, tune into our YouTube channel on Sunday, because I'm going to speak a little bit more deeply about this subject and about this passage, and I'd love to connect with you again. Otherwise, take care, God bless. It's been great to chat to you.